Hey, sports fans, Coach Nick here, and welcome to the B-Ball Breakdown live show coming at you after the Heat versus the Celtics. I don't even know what day it is, excuse me. As always, I'm joined by Andrew Combo Salop, and we're here to talk a little bit about what was going on with this game. I got two words for you, Combo. Jimmy frickin' Butler.
Jimmy Butler is real.
By the way, that's my line. I know that they're watching my stuff because Jimmy freaking Butler has been my line for a long time, and I deserve credit. Now, thank God he hit that three on that crazy bounce at the end to seal in his practice, because he had a couple in and outs toward the right down the stretch there that kind of was like, I wanted an exclamation point. He gave it to us, and I got to tell you, I tweeted this out. I said, whatever, and if MVP really stands for most valuable player, like for your team, then he wins this award every time unanimously. But the point was, people made on Twitter to me, which is right, was it's not necessarily the regular season Jimmy that we're talking about. This Jimmy, this version here, is the one that would win MVP every time.
Yeah, if you play like this the whole regular season. But I think when he doesn't want to score, like he's only going to do this if he has to. Like, if his team wasn't as much of a if his team didn't have as much of a talent deficit, he wouldn't do this, I mean, it's kind of like the LeBron thing. Like, LeBron could average 40 in regular seasons in the past. He just didn't have to, and that's not the way he plays. But Jimmy is the same way in a lot of ways, because he just does what it takes for his team to win. And if it's to score 40 or whatever it is, he'll do it.
Narrator's voice, he has to. This is what he has to do.
Exactly.
And he did it. He was absolutely terrific. Both sides of the ball, I thought, tonight. Jimmy ended up being 12 for 25. Those two in and outs, man. If he would have been 14 for 25, then would have been even better. 2 for 4 from three. If you notice, when he hops into his threes, the rhythm is better. The right corner three he hit was a hop. I can't remember if the last one was wasn't or not, but there's something there that he should be aware of. I don't think he is, and that's too bad. But 7 assists, 6 steals. I mean, he was all over the place on both ends, 35 points total. And this Heat team, we have to stop dismissing it. I forgive me if I have been that guy, but I keep sort of feeling like they don't know if they have enough to get to the finals, whatever. But here they are again. Similar. It's not actually even a similar team. Who's left over from the last finals? It's Jimmy, Bam.
Not Kyle. Max Strus, right?
Was Strus on that team?
Maybe not. I'm trying to think.
Know what? Now someone's going to tell us in the comments. Which, by the way,
Duncan, obviously.
Oh yeah, Duncan Robinson is there, but is not as the same role. Right. But don't forget, if you want your question answered and us to give you a lot of love and hype and really help us keep the lights on for the show, Super Chat's the way to go on YouTube, and we know you're out there. So
Tyler, but he's not playing, obviously.
Yeah, Tyler Hero, but he's not playing, so that's good. We're getting some answers. Haslam, he's still hanging around somewhere, but that not many. And then you still have Spoelstra, and Frank wants to have Dwight Schrute on there. I think maybe he's just a permanent Miami Heat, but I don't think he lives anywhere near Miami, so I'm not sure. But you don't even know who Dwight Schrute is, do you?
No.
God, that is so. I knew that as soon as I said that. Sports fans, Combo is not exactly up on the cultural touchstones of our generation. Dwight Schrute would be one of the great characters from The Office.
What's our generation?
Any generation below 50. I'll just say that. Dwight Schrute, The Office. Rainn Wilson, one of the best characters of all time. And then, ironically enough, his brother in the show is Mose. And my son, his name is Moses. We call him Mose, and probably after Mose from that. Now, first super chat, BB Coach JW33. Again, this is the best friend of the breakdown. He's been with us for a long time. He's always there to have a great question as well. Thank you so much. Does a series win here make Butler a Hall of Fame player? Wow. I don't know what the heck a Hall of Fame is. When I got so much crap when Gary Payton made the Hall of Fame, and I kind of scratched my head because I didn't really, and I get it now. So he was the best defender of his generation and a good offensive player,
and did actually get a championship with the Heat.
I mean, yeah, he strung it out as long as he could and got the ring. But there are players who make the Hall of Fame without winning a ring. So I don't think that has the criteria. And I don't even know if the series win here makes them, because again, are the Celtics like, a series win over the Warriors with Durant, like that would cement his Hall of Fame status if you needed to go there for like a big statement. Do you know what I mean? I don't know how much different these teams are. What do you think about that real quickly? Let's parse that out. How much better are the Celtics supposed to be than the Heat?
Well, I think down the line talent, there's a big difference. Even on defense, like in help defense, think about it. If Bam's not in help, they should be toast. Like the Celtics have so many guys that could be in help that you're not toast. Like you obviously have the two bigs, and you have Tatum, and you have Brown, and Marcus Smart is probably decent there. Like once you don't have Bam, like they're a really small team, If you
yeah. So we'll get into that for a second because we have to talk about Zeller. But anyway, let's finish the question here then. So
well, I think Mitch Richmond was a great two guard for his generation that not a lot of people think about. But I mean, I think he made it. I think Jimmy's close to there, right? I mean, he's right there, and he's had better playoff performances than Mitch.
Yeah, it's different a little bit only because Mitch didn't make the playoffs a lot, and then when he did, he was sort of a role player, if memory serves. But the point still stands that Jimmy is doing it at the height of the pressure situations, and there's a lot to be said about that. So yeah. So I think he'll make the Hall of Fame. I really feel like that seems reasonable at this point. And you know what? I would say that what would cement it would be like a title, right? Without question. Like if he could lead this team to a title, oh my goodness gracious. I mean, there's no way they'd beat Denver. I don't think. There's just no way. Bam could not handle Jokic well enough to do that. But I think he's going to get anyway. So that's a good question. And we definitely deserve a lot of love.
Do you think
you deserve BB Coach JW, all that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Do you think they could beat the Lakers? Just hypothetically?
Could Miami beat the Lakers? I mean, what's interesting about so for instance, Denver could beat the Lakers, should beat the Lakers because they match up really well with them, right? With Jokic, AD, and Aaron Gordon on LeBron, when LeBron isn't torturing somebody else by forcing switches. So I don't see how. I mean, okay, how would the Heat match up with that? You'd have to have Jimmy on LeBron, I guess, and then you have to have Bam on AD. I don't feel great about that. Do you?
No, I don't feel great about it, but who knows with this team, the way they're playing. What I want to ask you is, what were the Celtics doing in the fourth quarter on offense? Because it seemed like Tatum wasn't even involved, and I don't know exactly what they were running in general.
A lot of standing around, yeah. Tatum there's a problem with Tatum. This is twice now where he's gotten into modes. He started the game terrible. He started the game a lot like he did Game 6. He missed like 2 layups. He missed whatever. He finally got like a 3 to rattle in. Thank goodness, because I thought it was really gonna go down from there. And he leveled off and ended up being okay. Let me look at his numbers real quick. Tatum finished 9 for 17, so that's actually better than I thought it was going to be. And he had 30 points. But like down the stretch, even when he wasn't off the ball, not getting it, like there were some really problematic plays he made. He travels on a drive that was really terrible. He had another turnover where he wanted to foul, or he almost turned it over like he just gets all discombobulated and his footwork gets all screwy and his balance is all off. And he's got to solve that in a hurry because they're not going to be able to win games if he's going to have 10 minutes of a game or 12 minutes of playing time. With going through his own whatever internally. It's a real problem.
Yeah, the inconsistency with him is real. Like when you compare it to Jimmy, it just shows how much inconsistency there is, right? Like because Jimmy's just on every game he needs to be, and you could always rely on him. Yeah.
I mean, Jimmy had 3 turnovers. And he shot, worse than, Tatum in theory, although Tatum is only 9 for 17 and Butler's 12 for 25, but much more impactful when you're talking about what you're doing on offense. And I just feel like they need to figure that out. I don't know if it's a Missoula thing because obviously, so I did the video on Doc today. And when I tried to focus on it, it was 20 minutes. It was an epic Titanic thing. Please, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It would really help me out. I'm so worried that it's so long. People are going to be like, I can't watch it. But it really is good. And what I did was I told you last night I was going to do. I took apart like a lot of the game sevens. I even had to cut a whole game seven. It was going so long. But I took apart all the game sevens and sort of diagrammed the moments when the games fell apart and became blowouts. And almost all of his game sevens become blowout losses when he loses. And there is a sort of a semblance of like, it's a mental breakdown where they can't keep it all together. And I feel like that is where the coach in the playoffs is at his most valuable, where he can snap them out of it and he could maybe call that timeout and maybe, signal the right call, and they'll run the right offense and they'll get some movement in what they were missing. They ran a horn set, I remember at one point in the fourth, to try and do something. But when you get against the Heat, what's funny about that? The defense almost spaces the offense out in a way. Do you know what I mean? Like they almost get you so compartmentalized in your own areas that it's like one-on-one. You're going to you better do it on your own because you're not really going to be able to get a lot of other action going from your teammates. You know what I mean? It kind of felt like everyone was on an island trying to have to like create because the defensive pressure ratcheted up and they positioned themselves well to take away, drives and middle drives. Yeah. Does that even, I have to go look at this more carefully. Does that feel right?
Yeah, that's interesting because I feel like actually thinking about it now, neither team really has like a rim running lob threat big, right? Like Bam could be that, but Bam could be that, but he doesn't really play like that. And Williams doesn't seem as involved in that type of way that he used to be, right? Like,
well, they had him on a couple though. They had one on a nice short roll it was a lob. Oh yeah, it was a lob from Smart above the right elbow. And I even tweeted it out because there's no way to stop it. You had Lowry having to bump down and Strus had to stay with him on the roll. Neither of those guys could jump, to knock it away. That said, Jimmy knocked a lob away to Robert Williams later on. So I was like, oh, but Jimmy is, a really serious athlete more than Strus is and much taller than Lowry. So that's why he was able to do that. And then they had another one though to Robert Williams. I think was it Smart again, and they had a great shot of it from like the behind the rim. And he put it in such a perfect place. Was it Smart who threw that?
I think so, but it's not like a huge part of their offense, right?
It never even for an offense where it is a huge part, they'll throw it 3 times a game, right, or whatever. That's hilarious. Fair. Now there's a threat about that, which people will bend out of shape, because of that. Another 4 or 5 times maybe. But yeah, in the grand scheme of things, it's funny. A lob vertical threat probably doesn't have a lot of influence on a huge number of possessions anyway. So
I feel like prime DeAndre Jordan was like there was like more than 3 of them a game, right?
Yeah, no, there might have been like 10 or 12. Yeah.
Right.
But still, and by the way, throwing a lob is not easy. You could attest to this. Yeah. A lot of things can go wrong in a lob, and it's a little bit ballsy sometimes to throw those like deep in the fourth quarter if you really want to get a good shot and you don't want to throw the ball away. I had one in one of the game sevens. Austin Rivers throws. Actually, he threw one out of bounds, and then the other one he actually threw was okay, but then DeAndre Jordan blows the dunk. Deep in the fourth quarter of a game 7, and then you could just tell right from that moment. Which, by the way, sort of connects to my point I was going to make about Doc Rivers was that. Once you know where the game is going to fall apart, and you go right to that spot and you watch a few of the possessions, it's so obvious once that first turnover happens or once the other team hits that 3, you can just see it. The entire collective brain power drops and Doc has no way of stopping it. And then the game just falls apart. It really is amazing. And you have to be careful with Missoula. I wasn't sure I loved what I heard from him in his huddle in terms of what he was trying to get his team to do. He seemed to be angry and stalking, and he threw something that at some point during another timeout. It's not the time when you want to get your players to play as well as they possibly can, to be using anger and disgust. I think it's just a bad idea. We have another super chat. Let's get that one going. Here we go. We do not. We do, but I have to scroll. Let me scroll. Gosh darn it. Here it is. Sebastian Barron, thank you so much. On a scale from a used napkin stained with barbecue sauce and rotting banana peel, how trash is Zeller? Okay, so the scale is used napkin stained with barbecue sauce on one end and rotting banana peel on the other. Okay, so it's time to get into that. I mentioned it a little earlier. We got to talk about that. I'm going with I will go rotting banana peel, I think. What do you think?
I mean, I really appreciate the super chat, but I think I have nothing to add on this one.
All right, he must be friends with Zeller, but
no, I don't think Zeller is that terrible. I mean, today, yeah, it wasn't good, but
no. I mean, he wasn't like bad, but when you watch a game like that in the conference finals, this is the position they needed to have upgraded. Like he shouldn't be there in this role playing. I'm going to say he played 10 minutes. Let me see. Did he play 10? Zeller if he played more than that, good luck. Oh, he played 9:17. So I was really close. You can't have 10 minutes for Zeller. This is not the thing for him. And let me look at the roster because I almost feel like they don't really have anybody else. It's really too bad. They don't have anybody else that can play those minutes when Adebayo goes out. Although Adebayo only played 36 minutes. So they're going.
How many minutes did Love play?
Oh, that's right. So it's Love. Love played 16. So I would give Zeller like 5 minutes and let Kevin Love play 20. Honestly, I think that's probably what I would do. In fact, it's not clear to me why he really didn't get run in the second half. I don't think
it must have been something defensively.
Yeah, I got to look at that again because he was hitting threes and that was good for them. And and Zeller is just like his movement pattern. He's just kind of slow. Doesn't have his hands aren't great. He's just not like. The game is too fast for him. He's just a guy who they need, get some minutes out of, and hopefully he doesn't get in too much trouble with them. And I don't think he did, but when you look at what the Heat can do, if they had a better backup center, then I would say I would favor them right now to win the series.
That's fair. Maybe you should favor them now.
Well, they have home court advantage. It's safe to say that they have the bench coach advantage, right?
Oh, the Heat?
Yeah.
It's not even close. I mean, the Heat are clearly the best coaching staff of the league, in my opinion.
Okay, but you got to go watch out for Mike Malone if you're talking about who's left.
He's great too. He's great too.
Yeah. No, Mike Malone is really underrated, and I think we talked about that last night. So
Spo has a little bit more experience,
Yeah, there's no question. Yeah, I'm Team Spo these days. And I feel like they're just well prepared. And they're really tough. Like when you saw what Mazzulla said in the huddle, he had commented on the fact that they had ratcheted up or they had increased their intensity, and then the Celtics did not. And that's probably fair what was going on. And he needed them to meet that. And Spoelstra seems to understand how to command that. I think he knows that you can't just start there and have it there the whole time. And then B, I think he knows how to elicit that, and that's a really good skill to have in terms of training. It could even be a little neuro-linguistic programming where they could trigger that with a certain vocabulary and words. I don't know, but it's a whole world out there that you can explore that I've done with my teams that really, really works. Almost like the Pavlov's dog thing where you can train your players to have a specific emotional response based on stimuli. Okay, let's get to the next one then. Did we cover that one? Let's see here. Okay, so we covered that for Zeller. Thank you so much. We have some more super chats. Oh my goodness, thank you so much, guys. AJ Reed says, Coach Nick, loved your video on Lewis and Clark College, and I've been following you for years. Thoughts on Gordon spacing a dunker spot? Also, Butler is crazy. So I actually remember I said last night I was going to finish the doc video in the morning and then do the Laker video in the afternoon. I didn't finish that freaking thing until 4 p.m. It was a monster. So I didn't get a chance to study as much as I wanted to. But I do think that, yes, they have to get you will see Gordon not in the dunker spot. And that's weird. I think that there's something about certain players, like Ben Simmons did this too, where whatever offense you're running, I don't even know if it would call for you to go to the dunker spot in the weak side. Like you would do that anyway. You just sort of gravitate toward there. There's nowhere else to go. You're trying to find a spot. Jokic is posting up. You can't be there because that let Anthony Davis be there. And I like that idea. By the way, let's talk about that for a second. It looked like people on Twitter were upset that the Lakers revealed this, a hip way they're going to guard him too early. What do you think?
Well, I think that does actually make sense. It's almost like you showed your chess move early, but if you feel like you had a chance to win that game, it's not like you shouldn't do it at that point. That's my opinion. But I do see the point there.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not going to do it in game, in game one, then, when are you going to do it? You might as well. You're doing it. You saved it, all year long. If you played them in the regular season, you don't do it, and then you do it now. And I wonder if they had even had that in their pocket. They might have just sort of were so desperate. They're like, let's just try this. Let Rui guard him a little bit. And that makes a lot of sense to me, certainly because Anthony Davis really was struggling and they needed another look for him. And then it lets him come over. But you have to imagine that Jokic is going to solve that puzzle pretty quick within a few possessions, I would think. And I would think that they would keep Gordon in the corner. And then, again, the Lakers will probably let Gordon shoot that three. And if he hits it, okay, kind of like in the PJ Tucker mode. And then if not, then, great. It's a win for them. But there's going to be – I have to study the footage, and I'll probably come up with some interesting ideas on what you could do to combat that as well. But kudos for, Darvin Ham to try that and figure something out. And that wasn't even the issue, I thought, going down the stretch. That was only the possessions.
You know what I'm thinking also? They're like, we had AD on Jokic, and it made absolutely no difference. He's probably going to do that to whoever he guards. So let's just get him off the ball and let him try and create havoc that way.
Yeah, and that's where he's best at anyway, really. AD doesn't like the contact. He doesn't like people bumping into him.
But if he would have done pretty well on Jokic, they probably would have never made that adjustment, right? It's like Jokic was going to have – basically, like, Jokic is going to have his way no matter what, so let's have AD help side, right?
Yeah, and then they also think, like, let him score 50. We'll shut everybody else down. We can win that game. But I don't know, man. It seems to me he'll still get like 5 assists even with the 50. I got to look what he had in the last time. But they lost the other game.
I would try it for a quarter, no doubling at all on Jokic. Yeah. Just let him beat us, And also, 2 points. Let Jokic beat us and get back in transition. Like, that is the thing that killed them first half. Like, they did not get back and match up.
Absolutely. And that was really strange. And it wasn't like they were – they had a couple days to prepare. It wasn't like they were exhausted and tired. But, again, they were also mile high, and that's going to be a thing when they're on the road. But we have some more super chats. We got to get to them before it gets too late. But, again, thank you, AJ. Great question. And, yeah, Butler is crazy. But by the way, how good was Lowry in the first half? Oh, my goodness gracious. He wouldn't miss. What did he finish with? Lowry ended up let me look.
He was on fire. I was looking for NBA Jam memes. He's on fire to post.
He's on fire. He was 6 for 12, 3 for 5 from 3, but he was probably like 6 for 8. He might not have scored in the second half. Can I do my sliders yet? No, I'm only refresh. You know how in NBA they'll let you do it, but not until
he didn't play. He had long stretches where he didn't play in the regular season.
Kyle Lowry?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's for this very reason. Yeah. In fact, and now they're bringing him off the bench, which is a really great thing that he was like, sure, go ahead. That's no problem. I know Kyle a little bit, the greatest guy. And totally one of those guys who would sacrifice whatever he could to for the good of the team. And it really is working out. Vincent is doing nicely. Vincent looks, some of those games he looks really confident offensively. He took his guy into the lane under control, pump fake maybe, and then hit a shot in the lane that looked really good. He's not always that way, but this was another important thing for him where he can kind of just have control over that. And what did he finish with? Him is at 4 for 6, 15 points. Perfect.
Him, Caleb, Max, they all been great.
So Caleb went 3 for 7 from 3, and I'm like, there's just no way anybody could shoot well the way he shoots. But we'll get into that in a second. But don't let me forget, because the Caleb Martin 3-point catapult is driving me nuts. But thank you, AJ. Great question. And BB Coach JW is back again for another one. Thank you so much for the super chat. Is it just me, or does the mid-range become more crucial in the playoffs compared to the regular season? It is not just you. And part of the reason is because they're going to run you off the line, and they're going to be prepared for that, and then they're going to wall you up from the paint. So what do you have left is, James Harden learned that, and he was doing really well when he did well, and then sort of decided to go away from that in some weird way, in some maybe distant echoes of Morey ball where they don't want to go and shoot those shots. But no question, like Jimmy Butler is a guy who's just feasting. He had a pull-up jumper, kind of floater jumper on the baseline. On the right side in the second half, that was so, like, I'm not even sure if he was looking at the basket, but it wasn't a deep shot, but it was one of those where you can easily miss because it's sort of like a 10, 11 footer. But those are the shots you're going to get. You got to hit those because otherwise you're going to get blocked at the rim or you won't get the 3-point shot off. What do you think, Combo?
Yeah, I think the mid-range does become more crucial. You need it late game situations. You need it to end a shot clock, and you need it to kill drop coverage, which is a pretty popular coverage in this league, especially the playoffs. So I think it does become more crucial in the playoffs.
Especially because, okay, those are the shots you're going to get. How do you expect to make them if you haven't been working on them in games during the season? Like, that's why you can't avoid them during the season.
I've talked about this with Seth Partnow. Like, the mid-range is not dead. Just the spot-up mid-range is dead, right? Like, your best players who have the basketball need to be able to get in the mid-range and score.
Yeah. And by the way, that's how all the NBA guys used to do it way back in the 50s and 60s. All those, they just pull up from 16, 17, 18 feet and knock down those shots. So this has been that kind of shot for a long time. I did catch I was in the doc video, which, again, you guys all should please go watch maybe a couple times if you don't mind. There's a drive. It was the Celtics, probably. It might have been 2010. I think it was 2010. It drives baseline, and the guy spotted up on the baseline about 17 feet away. It was the weirdest thing, and he just the help came and he passed it to him. And the guy just shot it and made it. It was so weird to see an 18-footer on the baseline. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Charles Oakley used to do it a lot. Bill Cartwright, all the guys back then used to. How did Bill Cartwright? How you should do a shot breakdown.
Yeah,
Bill Cartwright.
He needed a lot of time to get that one off, and he did because Jordan would take all that.
Well, he was doing that before Jordan, though.
Yeah, you know what? I could picture him with the Knicks doing it again off of it would be a drive, and then they would just quickly throw it to him from about 15 feet.
I actually think he got more looks with the Knicks, right? It seemed that way.
Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, the Bulls would throw him a bone in the beginning of the game where they let him post up a couple times, and he would do that turnaround thing after they cut through on the triangle. And then they would, on the occasional drive and kick in the same way. But yeah, no, he was a bona fide scorer with the Knicks. I remember when he first got to the Bulls, we were all excited he was going to solve our problems because that was before the triangle actually was installed. And, his hands were not great. MJ tortured him for a while, but they figured some things out, and he ended up becoming, actually a really great defender. So that was really crucial for them. Okay, let's get to the next super chat. Thank you so much, Anthony Skatz. Wow, really appreciate this. Sorry for being tangential, but I'm a Sixers fan, and even though their stars aren't faultless, thank you for making the Doc Rivers video. Don't apologize, but we love it. We are all over the place. We are as scattered can be in a show like this. But yes, I want to make sure, that, you can't sort of not fault all of the players on Doc's teams for making the plays that I showed. But at some point, I just feels like it's too much of a coincidence when you have and by the way, I use Game 7 as an example as the ultimate in pressure situation, but obviously Game 6 against the Rockets. Do you remember that one in 2015?
I do.
The Josh Smith game. Talk about meltdown. Once Josh Smith got going, you could just see it. I have some of the clips in there of JJ Redick and CP3 and Blake. They're just shell shocked, and Doc is shell shocked, and he's carrying on, and he's yelling at the refs, and he's just making everything crazy. And that's not what you need in those situations. Now, would it have been any different? I don't know, but I know it didn't help. And I think that was sort of the point I wanted to make. And I hope that it resonates with other coaches and they can start to see how important body language is and communication is. And also just preparation as well, because, a lot of the turnovers were just ill-advised, bad decisions, didn't recognize, what was happening on the court, bad reads. And that is coaching.
What do you think?
If you don't want to do that coaching stuff, then that's going to happen a lot. And you can just rely on the players and hope that they understand that. Then you're going to be in for a rude awakening.
What do you think Doc's strengths are as a coach?
So, he's a player's coach. So I think a lot of it used to be, he could talk to players and he could relate to players. He was a player, all that stuff. And I think that at some point you get to a certain age where that doesn't work out so well anymore. And it's funny because Mike Brown and Doc, Pop, these guys are all, I think, Positive Coaching Alliance members or subscribe to that to some degree. But then it seems like it's been creeping in, and maybe as you get older, you get curmudgeon-y. It feels like they violate some of the tenets that we have for positive coaching, which is really designed to get the best out of your players. It's not about toughness and yada yada. You can be tough, you can be passionate, But when you use the wrong kind of language and trigger words, it can be so detrimental you don't even realize it. And plus just the way you're moving and the way you're, the arguing with the ref thing is just so troubling to me because it's just so big and histrionic. And you're looking at that and you're like, well, I now need to argue with the refs then. And the refs are against us. And now we're, you know what I mean? It just takes your mind off of the task at hand. And you don't have to believe me, right? I could be making this all up, but the evidence is there, right? His teams fall apart in the playoffs consistently. So I don't know any way else to explain it other than what we're seeing and those techniques, which tend to be scientifically proven as well. So, but thank you so much, Anthony, for watching and being here within the show with us. I really appreciate it. It's really, really generous of you. Martin Jose is best friend of the breakdown. I don't know if that's even strong enough these days. Thank you, Martin. Grant Williams, DMP coach decision tonight. Why is he not getting much minutes this postseason? He played a big role last season despite finals lost. You know the answer that I'm going to tell you, right? You remember what I've been always saying about Grant Williams, right?
No, remind me.
Oh, before I used to forget his name, but now if you have to play Grant Williams X amount of minutes in a game like Zeller, then you're going to have a ceiling on your team. Like that is the problem with him. I like him. He plays really hard. He can contribute and actually make a play now and then. But if you got to play him 12, 15 minutes in the playoff game in the conference finals, I think you're in trouble. And I think that's what happened last year too. He's just undersized. He's a little bit underskilled. There are certain spots you could probably find to get something out of him. Peyton Pritchard got in there. That was nice to see versus maybe like what the minutes would have been for Grant Williams. What do you think about his minutes?
Yeah, I thought they were decent. I feel like he's been better offensively in the past. To your Grant Williams point, I feel like Grant Williams' best role defensively is like guarding a guy a little bit bigger than him and getting under him. Yeah. And as I said before, like the Heat don't play with a lot of bigs. They play with like 4 guards and Bam. And Bam doesn't play like a big sometimes. So I don't know if there's a defensive role for him.
Right. Although in theory, he could guard Caleb Martin, I suppose. I mean, he could do that if he wanted to, but I suppose they wanted some shooting. I know Pritchard got a 3 in the corner. They couldn't get to go down on a quick release.
He's kind of better guarding guys and nobody could guard these guys, but like the PJ Tucker role where they're like getting under a Giannis, getting under a KD. He's not really like guard a quick little guard or a quick wing. He's more like that defensive stopper for like the league's best players, even though nobody stops those guys anyway.
I absolutely right. And he's physical, but he's limited. And I think that you don't want like as many limited players. You want to limit the limited players as much as you can. And that's, where they're going to find minutes. He'll play in this series. I can guarantee that.
He could actually help the Heat. He fills a role for them if he was on the Heat, right? Like he could guard some of the team's other bigs because they just don't have bigs. Like,
he could have his Zeller minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And space out, he could space out on offense.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I hear you. Yeah. So he's on the wrong team is what you're saying. All right. We have some more. Oh my goodness. Super chats are coming in fast and furious. So we have from Sebastian Barron. Thank you again, Sebastian. Another one. Again, this is so generous of you. As we all know, percentages and probabilities help predict team and player performance. So which team's play style predicts a higher chance of success? Well, I will answer this really quickly with, and you know what? Was it Stan who said it? The Heat outscored the Celtics by 6 threes. And again, I told you that before. When you score 6 or more, I might go check on it right now for the playoffs. I don't know. It might not be a big enough sample size, but it's something like 75% winning percentage when you do that. Independent of everything else, you can get out. You can turn the ball over a lot to get out rebounded. But if you make 18 points more from behind the line, that's almost impossible to get beat by. So that's one thing. Now, I have to check here. I'm going to go check it right now while we're talking because I have to remember. I don't think that the Heat's 3-point frequency is that much higher than the Celtics. I
think this game it was, but also how about free throws? You should check that because that's important.
Okay, it is. So right now the shot dashboard 3-point frequency for the playoffs. Let's just look at here. The Heat were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the 16 at 41.5% field goal, frequency for 3, and they're shooting about 37%. The Celtics were higher. They shoot 45% of their total field goals are threes, and they're at almost 40%. That has to lead the league. Yeah, they're leading the playoffs up until tonight. Now, tonight, we had the Heat go, let's see here. They went 16 for 31, which is impossible to replicate, 51.6%. And the Celtics went 10 for 29, 34.5%, which is, not that far off. Maybe if they had one more three or so, they get really close to what they've been shooting. Although now I need to do the 29 divided by 81. I bet you that's still in line with what they've been their frequency. So it's not like the style of Celtics are they don't shoot threes at the Lakers or something like that, and the Heat do shoot threes. So that's not necessarily a style thing. But I do like that the defensive intensity style, can we call it that? Because the Heat certainly bring that, right? And they seem to be able to turn it on when they need to do it in those big spurts. I don't know if the Celtics have that.
Yeah, and I think it's about creating habits during the regular season, because everybody talks about how the regular season doesn't matter. And in some cases that may be true, but from a preparation standpoint, that's not true. Mm-hmm. And if you prepare throughout the whole regular season, you'll be able to keep it going in the playoffs and not having to flip a switch.
Right. Well, I mean, here's the thing. So I get it. The Heat can't play that way the whole time. They would just turn into a puddle of sweat in the ground by the fourth quarter. They couldn't do that. So I get why, and I like that, by the way. I like being able to play different levels of intensity on defense in different parts of the game, where you can ratchet it up and then dial it down a little bit, and then keeps the offense off balance. Where the offense struggles for the Celtics is that you still have issues. We saw this with Tatum. We still have issues with Brown. Brown in the open court is rapidly, or maybe already is, that one of the 10 guys in the league who you have to bring a second defender in to stop him. He really is impossible to stop in the open court. It's pretty impressive. But we're seeing the same stuff we saw last year: going to the basket, getting losing your balance, losing the ball, missing the shots because of that, or getting it stolen or knocked away. They haven't quite adjusted that, and it's interesting because I'm trying to think of like the guys who are in their position, those wings that can drive a lot and really score well. I don't think that there's too many other of those guys that get stripped like this and lose the ball like this and still struggle. We saw, on the ground a lot, and Tatum again tonight lost his mind a little bit and just was just dysregulated for some weird reason. So I don't know. I don't know how to feel about that, other than the fact that it seems like Miami knows how to turn it on, knows what the scouting report is, and knows that they're going to suffer. The Celtics are going to suffer under that wilting pressure through varying points of the game.
Yeah, they definitely made the Celtics uncomfortable, especially in that fourth quarter, right? Especially in that second half. So that's what the Heat do. They're doing a great job of it, and their intensity on defense is incredible.
Yeah. So the final. Well, here's what's funny about that. In the fourth quarter, Boston outscored Miami 25-20. Did you know that?
Wow. So it was the third quarter that was the swing.
Yeah. So the third quarter was 46-25, and that was a meltdown.
46.
Yeah. Defensively, they couldn't handle it. Now, let me refresh. Maybe I can get my the box score by.
I wonder how many quarters. I know the Nuggets had a crazy quarter yesterday, but I wonder how many quarters in the playoffs have been 46 so far. That's pretty crazy.
I don't think any. But here's the thing. Yeah. So in the third quarter, we can now isolate it. 46 points. They went 6 for 9 from 3, and Max Strus had 3 of those, and then they had Jimmy, Kevin, and Caleb had 1 apiece. Let's talk about Caleb Martin for a second, because this guy catapults to the hoop with his threes. He hangs in the air. It's a violent arm motion on the release, and there's almost no way for me to believe that this guy can shoot that way and score or make any more than about 33.3% on these threes. It just doesn't seem possible. And yet, for the season, he was, I think, 35 or 36, and that's where he is in the playoffs, maybe 37 in the playoffs. So he's been able to do it, and I guess it kind of makes sense in the sense that you can get hot. You'd be very inconsistent that way at the very least. And I suppose he's on a hot streak right now where he's making these, but some of the misses are so ugly, even the ones in tonight's game, where he's catapulting it, and I don't know what to make of it.
I feel like some of them look worse than others, right? Forget about the makes or miss. It looks different every time.
And by the way, that's part of the nature of like when you hang in the air or whatever. Sometimes the arm is smoother and it does release, and those are the ones that look actually really good, and a lot of those seem to go in. But some of the ones, I mean, I don't. But he made one, I think, that was really like a violent action with his arm, and it hurt my shoulder watching him do it. But hey, this is what the playoffs are for. It's a make or miss league, and he is making enough of these to be a really viable, contributor. I wouldn't have thought. I would have put him maybe in the Grant Williams category at some point, where it's, if you got to play him a lot of minutes, you're going to be in trouble. But I got to tell you, what?
He's decent at attacking closeouts too. Like he had a tough finish in the first half. That reverse, I mean that. That inside hand. Yeah.
How? I can't believe that he got far enough to the other side, and then he had no English probably on it too with the wrist. Really, yes. You know what? This has got to be a testament to the Heat and the training staff, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, man, that was a tough finish. That, like, if you just saw him in that play, you'd think like this guy's all-star or something. Like, that looked incredible.
Yeah, and he attacks on the catch really well, which I really like to see.
Yeah, downhill, you mean, right?
What?
He catches downhill, like on the move.
Yeah. So the ball's in the air, he lifts his feet, and then as he's catching, he's splitting and going. None of the triple threat stuff. And so he's really developed. Like, it's great to see, because sometimes you don't see. Wait, what's so funny?
Like how you just totally dismiss triple threat, but I know what you're saying. Like in the modern game, like triple threat isn't it?
Yeah, and listen, you'll see Jason Tatum do triple threat, and I'm like, all right, when you're ready.
I think maybe that's part of the reason. Like, I'm not gonna he's not for me. Is that, and I know he's a great player, he's just not for me, I guess is the right way to put it. Maybe that's part of it. Like, because things stop when he gets it. Yeah. And what could I say? The guy had 50 to close out. Like, I can't say anything. Like, I've been tough on him in the past. Like, obviously he's great, but I think I like players that play with flow.
Me too. Yeah. Listen, you can't take anything away from the guy. The guy is a legit elite top 10 scorer in the world. Right. And even aside from that, though, there's a lot of room for him to improve. That's what's so scary about this league, is that you can have guys that can score 30 a game, and yet there's like 30% more that they're leaving on the table they can improve on, be it like whatever their age is in the development process, or just skill level development. That's what's kind of scary about it all. And maybe that never does get there, but I would love to see him, not have to have his eyes down all the time when he drives. And I would love to see him clean up his dribble a little bit better, where he doesn't fumble it even, on the perimeter when he's just doing his bag. Little things like that. And same with, Brown has some other that stuff too. I think in the past we had certain superstars in the NBA, in the 90s and the 80s who you wouldn't necessarily see that, but then again, they're not going to dribble in place 12 times doing a through legs, cross crossover, through legs crossover, or whatever. It was a little bit more of an efficient attack, I suppose, in that respect. So that's why you might see some more like, some of the stuff that's going on, but it would be great to see them clean that up.
Brown dances, but not as much as Tatum.
No, not at all. Yeah. No one. I think Tatum has to lead the league in
dancing.
Probably dribbles per possession, right? We have that, don't we?
Oh, that got to be James, right?
Oh, okay, yeah. I want to say it was better this year. When it's hard.
Oh yeah, I mean he has a different role now. I mean, obviously it's not like Rockets.
Let me see. Tracking. I think where is it? It's under dribbling, right? Where is is it under drives or touches? Maybe it's touches. There's dribbles per touch. Average dribble per touch. Here we go. Oh wow. Wait, that's in the playoffs. Nikola Jovic leads with 17 dribbles per touch.
Nikola Jovic for the Heat.
It was probably one touch in one game. All right, let me go. I have to filter this out. Let's go in the regular season.
I like Jovic too. I think he's gonna be good.
Yeah. So Trae Young led the league.
That's the missing guy instead of Zeller. They got to play Jovic.
How tall is he again?
6'11".
All right, free Jovic. God damn it. You know what? Why not? If I looked at that tape tonight, I would definitely say let's try him, because again, Zeller couldn't. I mean, he could have been worse. There's no question, but they're just not getting anything out of those 10 minutes. I would give him a run, and see what happens. Maybe they get like an 8-point lead in the second quarter and they have a little cushion. Like, yeah, it's.
I've seen him play well. I've seen him play well with the Heat. Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go to I'm gonna have to go to the tape and check him out a little bit more. Coach, let's see. Someone wants to know why I don't make more Heat videos. Yeah, no, I think that's it. The Heat videos don't get a lot of views, and unfortunately, it is my business. So, but I'm going to do one on these. That said, here's my conundrum. Having done the video today, and I need to get the Lakers video. This was a good game, though. I think I'm going to do this game tomorrow, and then I'll get back on track with the Lakers. Now, my only problem I have with that is I have to go to town this weekend, and I don't think I'm going to get any work done. So I'm not going to be able to cover the Friday or Saturday games. which would be what? What's Friday? That would be this game again. It would be the Celtics and the Heat, and then so it would be one of each. So maybe it won't seem like I've abandoned any of those teams. I'll be back on track to do those teams. But yeah, for some reason the Heat fans, maybe they don't like me from like back in the Heatle days when I was, I wasn't making highlight videos of the Heat. I was breaking it down and showing some things that might not have been working so well, and that was pretty triggering in the very beginning of B-Ball Breakdown. I'll tell you.
Oh wow, you think they're holding a grudge for that long?
It's possible. Some of those Heat fans were awful.
Well, you know what? I actually think that if somebody hates you, there's more of a chance they watch your video than if they're indifferent.
Interesting. I don't know. But because I feel like hate and they just, block all.
That's why they say, like, if somebody's not your friend, you should make them your enemy.
Okay. Interesting. I've not heard that, but that's interesting.
Well, because you're not in somebody's thought at all if they're neither your friend or your enemy.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. Bad publicity is good too, whatever, all that stuff. Okay.
There you
Interesting. Go. Yeah, so don't worry. So I'll break down this game tomorrow. And then I can't do one for, let's see, I didn't even know what day is today. Today's Wednesday. So that means Thursday night's game I can't do. Friday night's game I can't do. And so that's 3 games I won't be able to do. So it'll be 2 Lakers games. So I'll have to catch up. So that's a problem because maybe I have to do the Lakers tomorrow then.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you have to make that AD. But the thing is, though, it might be
old.
Yeah, because it'll be second game will probably be like already coming by the time it comes out.
I mean,
right?
if I don't drop it by like noon my time, then within a few hours it's old.
Right.
All right. So I think that's my answer. So that's interesting. I'm going to end up not doing a breakdown of the Lakers Nuggets.
I wanted to see that AD Jokic breakdown. That would have been a great video, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what to do.
Start it right now.
Let's do right.
Start
I can't
right
do
now.
it, can I? It just would be so old so fast. But I'll do it. I'll just do it over the course of 2 games.
Okay.
But you know what? It's going to be 3 games because it'll be Thursday night's game I can't do, and then Saturday's.
What do you mean by you? What do you mean by you can't do? Oh, you can't be jamming down videos on those days.
Yeah, I can't do a breakdown of game 1, and I can't do a breakdown of game 2. So I'm gonna have to do a breakdown of game 3 from Saturday night. I'll do it when I get back on, but I don't get back tomorrow. Oh no, I don't get back.
I feel like this is not a conversation for the live show.
No, but hey, we're at the end of the live show, so we can always throw it in there. And this is a good chance to get into my brain for a minute. This is how I have to deal with all this crap. So I'm hoping someone in the comments solves my problem for me, I guess. But nonetheless, all right. Well, let's see here. Let's wrap this up. What do you think? Anything else we got to talk about before we go to sleep?
Strus did a great job on Tatum.
You said that in my text. I want to look at that because I can't picture him on him a lot. But you felt like he was guarding him most of the time on those things.
I felt like I saw him guarding him. Also, I mean, a lot of it was the Celtics offense, like just not getting into any offense. But I do think Strus did a great job.
Yeah, and by the way, if you watch like what the Lakers do, for instance, and the Nuggets do it too, is you want to target the weak link in the defense. And so the Celtics, aren't really doing that. Now, that said, there's a reason because it's kind of hard to target the weak link. Vincent would probably be the guy that like Tatum might want to attack because he's smaller. But, the way that Vincent he's got, really good core strength. You're not
up,
knock him out of the way.
Yeah. And
he's really quick with the hands, right? So you're going to try and dribble by him. It's going to be an interesting adventure. And then I'm trying to think of who else on the Heat you target. Like you target Strus, but Strus is long and he's tough. I
feel like sometimes Tatum does best when he's like those bigger guys guarding him, and he could kind of like he plays that like undersized 4 type role, and there's just like he drags the big out. There's no bigs like that really because Bam could defend and everybody else is guards.
Yeah, for sure. And I see one of the comments about Hero saying it's a 6th man, not the starter. I tried to dig into that video a couple days ago about are the Heat better without Hero, and it just nothing was grabbing me. I was looking at the numbers and the stats and some of the clips. I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on anything that really resonated with me, so I didn't do it.
Well, there's less people to target.
Oh, defensively?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that's one. That's one reason for sure that they're benefiting now. But they get the benefit on the other end too with his scoring.
Shot profile changes, less mid range.
Yeah. So, Strus got cut by the Celtics. I don't remember that.
Yeah, I think he was hopping around a little before he found his place, but I think he's going to get a bag this summer.
Hey, we are DePaul. You know, I grew up down the street from DePaul.
Wow.
So I was a big DePaul fan back in the 80s when they were good. Rod Strickland, that was a good team.
New York City.
What else we got to talk about? I think that's it. So stay tuned. Tomorrow we'll do the video for this game. Why not? And then I'll just deal, unless I change my mind, but then I'll just deal with, you know, that's the thing. I'm not going to do a video on the Lakers Denver until game 3.
Unless you start now for the AD Jokic video that you should make from game 1.
Oh, you know what? Do it right now and have it really. I just drop it at midnight. I'll never.
That's a video I want to see. I'll tell you that.
You want to? Okay, tell me right now, and everybody in the comments chirp up here. Tell me what you want me to see. I'll make it if I can make it really focused. Right, that's the key. Otherwise, it takes me hours and hours and hours. You want to see just the individual matchup between Jokic and AD. A video just about that. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that first game.
Okay.
I was looking at the comments. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Hey, I'm so happy you know where the comments are now.
Combo is right on that point. I don't know what point he was talking about, but I appreciate you, MBW Doughboy.
Okay. Well, then let's do that. I will. Maybe I'll try and do that right now. Why not? Why not? Let's do it. All right. Okay. So I'll look at that. So I'm going to focus on simply just that. Although I guess I have to get into here's the problem. It's the rabbit hole. I got to get into Rui on him with AD off ball helping out. Don't I?
Yeah.
But again, I bet you there was how many possessions do you think there was of that?
I don't know. That's your job.
Yeah. I mean, probably 4, right? 5. I don't think that there was that many. They did it, but they don't think they did a lot. So anyway.
Now you're good. And also you can predict what adjustments to the adjustments since they showed their card early.
Okay, this is the rabbit hole now. Now you're talking about adding an extra hour to the damn thing, and it's already almost 9 here. All right, I will try and do it, and what the hell? Maybe I'll I've never released a video at midnight, so maybe I'll try it and see what happens. Who's up in Paris right now or somewhere in Europe? They'll enjoy it.
7 a.m. right? It'll probably be it's a 7-hour difference usually.
Something like that. Yeah. All right. Well, Combo, awesome stuff. We could run it back tomorrow night.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. This is great stuff. A lot of people here. Thank you so much for the super chats from everybody. BB Coach JW, also for sure. Sebastian, AJ. It was his first super chat tonight. Thank you, AJ. Anthony Scatz, Martin, Sebastian again. All you guys. Thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you so much for being here. Great conversation going on in the comments too. And don't forget, sports fans, at P-Ball Breakdown, we're not a channel. We're a conversation. You in? Are you in, Combo?